version of a West Coast type of offense, as far as I understand. Am I right?
Yeah, that's my understanding of it too.
Yeah.
And it's
and I
been
hate
said
the West
that,
Coast offense. I can't stand it, Dan. I don't know about you, but this is not Montana to Rice, and I don't like the West Coast offense other than when the San Francisco 49ers ran it.
Yeah, as far as I know, Bill Walsh isn't going to be calling plays, and so yeah, that leaves me a little cold. I like you. I enjoyed the let's pick up some damn yards offense of our guy last year,
Norv Turner.
And,
he at least went downfield.
Right, throw the ball down the field, and that was his whole game, and we liked that. And obviously, even with at best mediocre quarterbacking and inconsistent quarterbacking last year, we had a receiver lead the league in yards per game, yards per catch, and yards per season. First time that's been done in an awful long time in the NFL. So that seemed to work in terms of the personnel that we had, and even when you consider that we had miserable quarterbacking.
I'll tell you what, I'm gonna laugh. I know Castle won the starting job there over Bridgewater. I'm not surprised when rookies don't win it. It's the media, as we've seen here, that creates that. But I'm gonna be interested to see just what kind of a season he has with Norv Turner as the offensive coordinator there for Castle. Will it be a bounce back season for him? Because we know kind of the book on him. I'm very interested to see him under that, because that was what so many people thought about with Wheaton when they said, oh, well, he's going to have the best guy that you can have to tutor a guy here that can get him to where we think he can be. And obviously we saw how that happened. And I mean, I was trying to tell people that I was hearing from inside during training camp that it took no time at all for Norv Turner to go, this guy's got nothing, man. This is just whatever. He's screwed up, and maybe he can be fixed, but he's not fixed right now, man, and he's so in his own head that I can't get anything out of him right now. But looking at that, I think that's a good example. Let's see if he what he does with him over there in that offense. Of course, also having a running back doesn't hurt either, Although, man, the thing, I guess, is that they I'm still thinking back that they led the league in passing attempts and just pass with all the passing problems that they had. I'm hoping that he realizes he's got a running back to work with. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's that Peterson guy.
Yeah, that's true. Now, I don't know. You're talking about last year? The Vikings
Browns
led the league in passing attempts?
The Browns with the continual pass
Browns,
attempts.
Yeah. When you're constantly behind, you're throwing the ball.
Yeah, exactly. He was throwing
that's part of it, too.
But not just that. If you notice, Fangraphs did the research of how much of the season, and I don't have the exact percentages in front of me, but it was amazing for a season that had as bad of a final record as it did, how much of the season the Browns were within either leading or within a touchdown of the lead. It actually showed that, I mean, we watched it. We don't have to look at the stats. They collapsed left and right down the stretch on these games. But for a team, that was what made it more amazing, is they weren't throwing it because they were down 30 points every game. They were winning. They were within a touchdown, and they couldn't even run the ball just to kill time off the clock. They were still pass.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that will be a difference this year, as long as you have last year we had no semblance of a running game. It looks as if this year we may have no semblance of a passing game, and the results are going to be the same. One team is going to dare you to do one thing or the other, and with all the confidence in the world that you're not going to be able to do it. To me, and like you pointed out about the defense last Saturday night, and the many third down conversions. Not only were they giving up big chunks of yardage on third down,
big ones.
They were doing it because the vaunted Mike Pettin pass rush was non-existent for the most part.
They couldn't get a rush unless they blitzed.
They could not get pressure on the quarterback, and all we've heard is about how this guy leads the league in sacks, and we're going to mix it up, and maybe he's playing it vanilla and all this kind of stuff, but maybe the blitz packages aren't there yet, or you didn't want to show them or whatever, but there was just no pressure on the quarterback. And he, Matt Castle, Ryan Fitzpatrick, anybody can stand back there and hit receivers running down the field 20 yards if he's got 4 and 5 seconds to do it.
Yeah, that's what we were seeing, is that they were giving. I mean, there were occasional times that they dialed up the blitz, and they got it, you know? And as a matter of fact, part of me thinks that he dug into that. I wasn't hoping to use these plays in the preseason, but I got to stop somebody, doggone it. We got to go out here and get a stop, because you're right. But the three and a linebacker up front, they weren't getting any pressure by themselves. That's the one thing I like. We've talked about Armani Bryant, is that he's shown somewhat of an ability to get himself through to the quarterback that these other guys aren't. He's the only one that up front that's getting any semblance of pressure, but for the most part, they're keeping clean pockets. And, you know, then when they do dial up the blitz, even then, they only got through half the time. The other half the time, even 5 and 6 guys were getting blocked and they were holding up. So that's the part that's concerning, because no matter, even with Hayden back, even with Screen back, and Gilbert, even if he gets up to speed, you can only leave those guys back there for so long, because any quarterback, and I think we saw that when they were down to their 7th-string quarterback, they can all complete passes downfield when they get to stand there all day.
Yeah, that's true. They finally got Dansby up the middle one time on a rush.
Yeah,
shirt
and that's what I was talking about.
They had their moments, and they also had several moments where they were, you know, a fingernail away from dragging the quarterback down, or got a hand on them and couldn't hold them. But, you know, that happens every week in the NFL.
Dan, another Browns team that can't tackle, bro. Am I crazy?
Yeah,
or are you seeing it too?
I'm not as concerned about Justin Gilbert. He got toasted a couple times, yeah, but the guy does look the party. He has every bit of the package of a cornerback,
for sure,
an NFL cornerback, and he did break up some plays. He stripped that ball in the end zone. He tipped a long ball where he was beaten on the play and caught up a little bit, and the ball might have been slightly underthrown, but he got a hand on it and knocked that ball away. So defense some passes in addition to obviously tried to do the new NFL thing, which is tackle everybody at the shoulder pads instead of around the ankles, and gave up a 75-yard touchdown run as a result of it. But I am not as concerned about Justin Gilbert being a bust as some people happen to be.
No, not a bust. Who
and obviously your best two corners weren't playing. But all that aside, Joe Hayden and Buster Screen or whoever are going to get toasted if you give a QB that much time. I was also at least slightly encouraged about Leon McFadden as a cornerback in the NFL, maybe a third or fourth corner for a team. He did not play badly. Had good coverage most of the time when he was called upon, and then looked like they were working a lot more on Gilbert than they were on McFadden on the other side.
I can't lie. I'm with you on Gilbert 100%. I'm not a McFadden fan at all. I mean, he's going to lead the league in pass interference penalties if he makes this team. I'm just telling you now, man. But he had some plays too. But I'm not a.
I think the Browns only
had.
I think the Browns only had one or two at the most illegal contact pass interference type of calls.
I think there were only a
couple.
I think
they
were
recall.
both on him though. But
and based on what we've seen in the preseason, that's about half a quarter's worth in most of these games we've been watching.
Oh crap, man! They showed the stats the other day. I'm sure you saw it during the game where they showed the difference in the preseason, just comparing the preseasons to each other, and it was like 6 times as many flags have been thrown in for illegal contact or defensive pass interference or whatever, man. Like,
I think we can call that the Richard Sherman rule.
Absolutely.
There's not a whole lot of doubt that after that coaches were, I'm sure, up in the league's ear after the way the season went last year, where basically Pete Carroll tells his cornerbacks, go mug the receivers on every play. Grab them, drag them down, arm bar them, hold them, do whatever you need to do, because they won't call it every single play. So I think they came out this summer and said, okay, guys, call it every single play.
You're exactly right. That's it. And eventually, guys will figure it out. Like, we were talking about it the other day. It's a combination of the league will lighten up a bit when the season starts, but guys will also lighten up a bit in the way they play, and so you'll get a lot less flags. But I agree with you there. And about Gilbert, I don't know if you heard the whole show. When I talked about him earlier, I definitely you could watch him while he was getting toasted. You can also watch him learning on the job. You could see there was, and I mentioned there was a couple of plays where on the pretty much the same route, he got beat badly, not long, but just beat badly where he got turned around and didn't even know where the ball was. Similar play later in the game, he read the guy's eyes, got a hand up without looking at the ball, and made a play on the ball. And I said he learned. You could tell that and so that's what happened. Last year, Buster Skrine was, I don't want to say trashed when he first started, but Buster Skrine was not very good. And we watched him. It took a whole season for him to improve to where at the end you're going, hey, this guy came along. It took a while, and he came on week by week. I think Justin Gilbert's catching up period will be a lot faster. When you're a first-round pick, you're expected to have a quicker learning curve. But I saw it during the game. I mean, I really did see him at least getting beat and learning from it to where that's what happens. They picked on him and picked on him and picked on him, but they may have done him a favor because he got to see so many looks and so much work that he'll really come out of that better. At least that's my hope. And I saw him improving stuff during the game.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. And in my opinion, you've heard me say it before. I think NFL cornerback is the hardest position to play in all of major league, all of major sports. Yeah. Right up there with major league starting pitcher. It's just a brutally hard position to play. The skill set needed to play it is unbelievably rare, and the people that excel at it are few and far between. And so that's why when you get a shutdown corner, and we don't know yet if he is going to be that, but obviously his physical stature and his athletic ability and everything lends you to believe that he's going to be or can be. And it is a tough learning process. They always talk about the short memory you need to have and all that kind of thing, those cliches. But he's the least of my concerns on this team in terms of going forward, because I think between him and Skrine and Hayden, you've got a pretty good threesome that a lot of teams would like to have.
And while, we got to balance off the good with the bad, I mentioned earlier that there were some bright things and some bright spots that I liked. And, we've talked about some of the bad, and I'm sure we'll get to some more when we switch over to the offense. But defensively, and I'm glad it's you that I'm talking to about this, because I remember we talked about it. We both liked Chris Kirksey when they drafted him, and then you sent me that video. Here's what happens when your team drafts Christian Kirksey, and it's the violence reel of him and the things that he does. And I got to tell you, man, he's really growing on me early on. Although Solomon Wilcots is the worst friggin' home commentator I've ever heard in my life. If you listen to him, you will believe that the Browns have Hall of Famers, starters and backup level, and some of the third string are pretty close to that level too. I'm just telling you, man, like he's nuts when it comes to that. But at one point, Kirksey had like his second tackle of the game. He's all over the field making plays. I said, well, it's a second tackle. He's not exactly all over, but he did by the end of the game live up to that, because he was all over, had the nice interception, showed some coverage, showed some rundown ability, showed a lot, man. I like Christian Kirksey. He's gonna be a keeper, I think.
Yeah, that's true. He did look awful good. Yeah, even before the tip ball interception, it's nice to see some hands on a linebacker like that. Pretty much caught that ball with one hand.
Yeah,
defensed
nice.
A couple of other passes where the pass was incomplete, but it was only because he was right where he needed to be. And then also coming up in that flat and making tackles, quick responding to plays out in the flat where it's a running back or it's a bubble screen or something. He was up making plays on that and being a sure tackler. Yeah, you're right. You got to like what you see so far out of him. Of all the draft choices, I think right now, he looks like one of your best bets, since how we've got some sincere doubts about guys like Pierre Desir, and you like what you see a little bit out of Terrence West, but that's going to take time too. So, as far as an immediate contribution, it's not going to be Manziel. It's going to be between the two defensive guys at the top of your draft, Gilbert and Kirksey, that are going to sort of make or break you in the early going. As far as Solomon Wilcots goes, I am happy to say that I was, of course, at the game and didn't hear the telecast, and I haven't had the stomach to watch
terrible,
my DVR replay of the game yet. I just don't quite have it in me yet. I wanted to go back and see afterwards. My wife is telling me she wants me to erase the game. We got home from the game that night. She said, "Can we erase this now? Can we just delete this? This recorded game here?" And I said, "Well, tell you what, I thought I want to go back tomorrow, sometime over the weekend, and watch a little bit of the second half, see if my man Reed Fragel got in the game at right tackle. If he did, how did he look? Because everybody's so concerned about Mitchell Schwartz, and who else do you have out there? Who is your backup right tackle? I haven't done that yet, and when you're at the game, it's hard to see numbers sometimes.